What's up, everybody? Welcome to the KindaFunny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller. This is my co-host, Tim Geddes.
Let's him host.
And you've walked in on a very special episode of the
It is.
KindaFunny podcast. Now, what does that mean to you, dear viewer?
How are we even going to explain this, Greg?
I got it. So we thought, well, we interviewed Cliff Bleszinski about his book, Control Freak, right? We thought we'd put that into the middle of the episode. So we recorded with Cliff earlier because he's East Coast, and then we were going to insert it into the podcast. So we thought we'd interview Cliff, then we would do the intro and outro to the show, and then break them up, put them around it, bookend the show nicely, right? But here's the problem with the KindaFunny podcast, if you don't know. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table,
Sometimes
each
2.
bringing topics of conversation and whatever they want to do, and the show just kind of goes. At this point, it's a set it and forget it of insanity. You don't have to worry about it. The show's gonna get fucking nuts, all right? The show's gonna get fucking nuts. So we, ladies and gentlemen, have been broadcasting for an hour-ish. We had some technical difficulties, right? We did all, and then we started to do the outro.
Mm-hmm.
And Melissa Hagler in the Patreon chat, because of course you can get this show on patreon.com/KindaFunny. Over there, you could watch us record the show live. You could get it ad-free. You can get 38 episodes of bonus exclusive shows each and every month, alongside a bevy of benefits for all the KindaFunny and KindaFunny Games podcasts. However, if you have no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. YouTube.com/KindaFunny and podcast services around the globe each and every week. So we finished the interview. Tim had to go to the bathroom, and I was like, all right, cool. We'll wait. Melissa asked us to read her question about Santa, and we did, and then I got questions, and then Tim came back, and I explained it to him, and then we really just got in the weeds about the Santa Claus for a second.
Because that's the thing, Greg, is today's episode originally was going to be including the normal cast, Nick and Andy.
Right.
And then just due to some scheduling, Andy got cut. It's like, okay, well, it's fine. We'll make it happen. And then Nick got sick. So Nick couldn't come in. So then it's like, oh, okay. So now it's just us. And it's like, oh, we're going to have fun. We're going to make some magic. But I did not expect the day to go like this. Greg Miller came in with an energy this morning, and I could feel it.
Yeah.
It was already, he's like, we haven't made content together in a while. I'm like, all right, there's going to be something's going down. But I did not
But it wasn't like
expect
when I apologized for my nude.
No.
Or I shouldn't say apologize for my nude.
Did you ever apologize?
I apologize for not showing my nude.
You still
Which
have
was
it.
a hot topic of conversation around the Thanksgiving table.
I'm sure that it was. But so here we are. We just recorded this whole thing, like Greg just explained. Things are out of order right now. But I walked back from the bathroom. You guys are talking about Santa, the Santa Claus iconic movie. I haven't seen it in 20 years. I don't remember the details. Turns out I don't remember most things. We started talking about it, and then we fall upon an amazing idea where I challenged you, Greg. And they'll see this eventually.
You're kind of embellishing. I'm not sure it's how it went, because I was like, Santa Claus in review when? And then I was like, Kevin, why is it still a one shot at them? What the? Stop! I hate the circles. I fucking hate the circles. Full stop. Never liked them at all. Get them off me! Kevin, get it off! Go full screen. Go to the Y. I brought up the fact that Santa Claus, I put into the Batman Forever category of movie I got on VHS and just watched over and over and over and over again.
For sure.
And then this is where you were, I started trying to recap it and you're like, this would be an interesting thing of recapping, one day doing an in-review for a movie we haven't watched again. Yeah. And I said, today's the fucking day, let's
You just started going, and then it was like, that's why not only did you start going, again, you'll see this, guys. You'll see this at the end of this episode.
Again, if you want, you're free. If you'd like to, I want to know more about what they're doing. You can pause right now, and then God only knows how far from now in the timeline you'll see us come out of the Cliff interview, and you can see everything we're talking about to recap happened live.
Get back here.
This show's a flat circle.
But Greg was standing up. He was walking around. There was a vibe. There was an energy, and he just started doing the plot of Santa Claus. I missed the point where the plan was we're going and you're doing it. But I appreciate that.
You can watch it yourself in a little bit of this episode.
Exactly. And so now we're here. Greg.
So here's the one thing as we started to sign off, I wanted your opinion / I wanted your permission. More than opinion, I wanted a permission.
Great.
Here's what I want. And the computer's open so you can do it. I will go over there and get a nice can of ice cold Coca-Cola because I feel like I could use some energy.
Okay.
But what I'd like you to do is go pull up the IMDb for the Santa Claus cast.
Okay.
Because here's what I know. I remember his name is Scott. I don't remember his last name, Calvin. It's Scott Calvin. No! I'm getting a Coke and we are going to war. We are going to fucking war. Leave the mic hot, Kevin.
Why was that so exciting?
Captain Wheel
You shouldn't remember the Santa Claus's last name.
Tim, it's
Scott
SC.
Calvin, SC. How could I forget?
SC, you're right.
Don't even get me. You know what? Actually, is it open?
No, I didn't do shit.
Oh, okay. I want you to open it
Okay.
on your phone.
Okay.
You have it? Because let me tell you, you don't think I'm going to talk about Bernard? You don't
Bernard.
Think I'm going to talk about Charlie?
Yes.
Judge Reinhold will only be referred to as Judge Reinhold.
Okay. Oh, I love this. The
Oh my
Santa
God, he's
Claus.
Crazy. He's crazy. Not the Santa Clauses, Tim. That's
No,
the
I'll
Disney
make sure.
Plus show.
No, 1994 is The Santa Claus.
1984. I'm 11 years old when this comes out.
Okay.
Okay. So again, if you haven't watched the end of the episode yet, if you haven't watched the end of the episode yet, what I said was going to be tough for me was getting out of the blocks, right? And what I mean by that is, if you watch in review, I pride myself on being like, welcome to the Santa Claus. And then like the first scene you see in the movie is where I start the movie from, right? But I know that I can't do that here. I know
Exterior, snow.
Because that's the problem not the problem. We don't start with like Charlie's visiting his father. Because here's the thing, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, about Charlie and Scott Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
They, of course, are father and son. Scott and his wife divorced. They've broken up. And don't worry, this isn't one of those movies where we're going to sit there, we're going to say, well, let's get these two crazy kids back together. The ship has sailed, all right? She's in a relationship with Judge Reinhold. That's right, the Judge Reinhold. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and of course, as we digress, I lost it as I was talking about it.
Just to be
Beverly Hills
extra
Cop.
clear, to
Beverly
be
Hills
very
Cop.
clear to people, Judge is his name.
Yeah,
it is not his
everybody
position.
knows that.
I
Everybody
didn't know
knows
that. I learned something today.
Anyways.
Do you know that, Kevin?
Yes, I did, but that's mostly because Arrested Development made a big bit about it.
And it's one of those things where Judge Reinhold in this movie, a total square. He's not winning any awards for being the best dude. He's vanilla, right? Scott Calvin, on the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, he's the traditional problem you'd have with what you'd expect out of a 1994 dad, right? He is, Kevin, I'm gonna need you to keep up with these wide shots. I'm using the space today, all right?
I'm using the
fucking space today. Scott Calvin is a workaholic. Scott Calvin is putting the business first. What does he do? Again, here's where I can't, I'm gonna be honest. I'll cite my own problems. Can't tell you. It might be advertising. It might be
I think it is advertising.
Is it advertising? Advertising is always such a cop-out. Oh, you're right. Later on he approves some ads, but he's already been sanctified, so he starts trying to put cookies and elves and shit in there.
Yeah. As one does.
As one does.
When's the last time you saw this film? Because it's a Batman Forever movie, you said. You watch it all the time on VHS. But when is the last time you
Here's the thing about the Santa Claus and Greg Miller.
Please tell me.
We're talking like the last time I sat down to watch the Santa Claus start to finish, 95.
Yeah.
It wasn't a movie.
Where do you think it starts? Because I'm looking at it right
That's
now.
what I'm holding on. I'll get there. It's not a movie that has stuck around for a long time, but it was a good time. You know what I mean? Like I watched it more than most movies in my life, probably, but in that very contained Christmas break, maybe into the next year. Yeah, what's up?
Are you aware of the conspiracy theories in and now I haven't seen the show at all, but like there's a bunch of conspiracy theories that say like from the very start, like there's a bunch of elves hidden around, like you can see he goes to a classroom.
This is not a conspiracy at all. This is very true.
Okay, all right, good.
There are elves watching him the whole time. You can go and see like kids in the playground that have the little elf ears and stuff.
His manager from the start of the first movie is also Father Time in the third movie. Now, we haven't seen the third movie.
We know
as a group.
Santa Claus 1, frontwards and backwards, with the exception that I haven't seen it in 2 decades. Is that right? Yeah, 2 decades-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 decades. Oh, 2 decades plus, I guess. Almost 25 years? 25 years? 20. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're right. Fuck. Alex J. Sandoval, no future spoilers, Kevin. We got to be careful, all right? We're sticking on the Santa Claus 1 for everybody. You're safe for your spoilers on everything else.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of great conspiracy theories on TikTok. I'm going to send them to you at some point, Greg.
I feel like I almost have it. Where if memory serves, it's kind of one of those, like, I don't know if it's 2 years of shitty Christmas at the Calvins or something, but it's like we do get a parallel somewhere in here. In the opening of what's going on, or like what it is. But I can't help you. I'm sorry. Again, I won't be able to, I'll be able to give you lots of information in this. Think of me as a living Wikipedia, article.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia, so I can fact check you on certain key things as you go. Because there's
Okay.
one thing already that I think might like trigger something in your mind that you remember.
Give me a splash.
He's a toy salesman.
Yep.
That's what it is? Okay.
He's a toy
that-
salesman.
Okay.
Scott Calvin, yeah.
I
Does
don't-
that affect where you want to start?
No, I mean, a toy store or like him at Santa's lab or
I
some
don't know
shit?
about
I don't know.
that.
I don't know about that either. Doesn't matter. I've already set the stage.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Scott's got a job. I can't remember if Scott's fucking anybody. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those when I think of course, hey, workaholic dad. Hey, not doing that great. I of course think of Nicolas Cage, The Family Man, with Téa Leoni, right? And as you all remember, that's a movie I watched at 13 or 14. Was like, you know what? If you're not familiar with the movie, Nicolas Cage, successful in business as well. Very successful. Lives in a high-rise, great apartment. But you know, his life's kind of empty. And this woman shows up in lingerie to have sex with him or whatever. And then I think he gets bumped on the head in the shower in his bathroom or something. And then he wakes up in his alternate reality where if he had married his high school sweetheart, Téa Leoni, and they had all these kids. And I remember watching this being like, the life with kids sucks. The life with the lingerie lady in the nice car and the nice apartment, that's the way to go.
That's what they want you to think. Disney propaganda since day one. I've been saying it. Don't trust them.
And so, anyways, I can't remember. I might be. I might be projecting. Good cut to my crotch. I like it. I might be projecting that there might have been some fucking there from Scott Calvin, but Scott Calvin must have had something going on at the beginning of this thing. Show off that like he's single, he's mingling.
Do you want me to tell you? 'Cause
Jingling.
I do have it pulled up here.
Yeah, I'd like to know. Is there
the
some
way.
kind of
No, where he's at the very beginning of the movie. Because I think
Sure.
so he's at a company
Christmas party.
Christmas party, that's it.
Does sound familiar.
Yeah.
And does he get kissy with somebody there?
It doesn't look like it. It definitely looks like someone gives a speech, and then he gives the speech. So he's a big guy, a big deal at this.
Oh yeah, I know he's a big deal. I know Scott Calvin's like he's not the boss man because he's got a boss man that will not be happy with him becoming Santa Claus in a little bit. But he is in fact a big deal. He's the big swinging dick of the office. He's the Greg Miller of that organization. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
He's the one making it all happen, ignoring his
More of
family
a
dues.
blessing.
What?
What?
Anyway, Scott Calvin, top of his game, toy salesman, maybe advertising. We're not 100% sure, right? And what it means when you're at the top of your game in the business sense of the word, right? is that this guy is just a shitty dad,
He hasn't had any
right?
liquor today.
I'm playing fast and loose, and I
Kev,
know
give him a Christmas background. Give Greg Miller a Christmas background for him to
I'll
walk
work on
around in, okay?
Okay.
And so, Scotty C, sorry. He's not a great dad to Charlie, his son, who has a bowl cut. Very unfortunate, but very big in the 90s. I had a guy I knew named John Combs. Sorry, I went to school with John. If you're watching, John, shout out to you. But he had a bowl cut a long time, too. And I was like, I don't like this. But so did a girl in school named Ellen. You know what I mean?
That's how it goes.
Look at that.
I did too. This is my hair. I looked
feel
exactly
sorry
like
for you
this
guys.
kid
I feel
until
very,
seventh
very
grade.
sorry for you guys, right? And so again, Scott's a shitty dad. I think he gives it's like Christmas. Again, I feel like there's more. I mean, we established in this point in the picture, right, that the mom doesn't like Scott. Scott forgets. She's picking up the slack.
Yeah.
Judge Reinhold, of course, is doing the thing like, oh, Scott, you should be a better dad. And he's like, yo, you didn't come in this lady. This is my kid. I don't want your
Holy
shit.
fuck!
I don't want your
man.
shit. I don't want
Whoa.
your shit.
Did
This
not
is
expect
mine.
to go
Whoa.
This is my
way.
kid, all right? So you can step the fuck off, Judge Reinhold. And Judge Reinhold goes, because of course Tim Allen, this is a Tim Allen picture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it going around the TikTok, Anthony Mackie talking about why Marvel movies are Marvel. And he's talking, there's no more movie stars. You don't go to see a Tom Cruise picture,
Hold
right?
on. Was
You go-
Anthony Mackie saying that?
He was, yeah.
Tom Cruise.
You go to see the Falcon movie. Huh?
I would go see a Tom Cruise movie. Like, it's funny that that's the pull that we went, because I feel like
That's what he says in the thing. Go, hey, your mouth
personally-
to Anthony Mackie's ear. I didn't say
Wasn't
it.
it Quentin Tarantino that said it? Maybe Anthony Mackie is just like
He's
also saying
delusional.
it. But
It doesn't matter. This is
delusional.
94. We went to see a Tim Allen movie. Tim Allen's in a movie. We're going to go see it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? We're going to have a great time. We're going to go to the motion picture house. Anyways, though,
Picture house.
eventually, I think he misses Charlie's fucking soccer game or some shit or whatever.
It's always soccer.
He's in the doghouse with Charlie.
I think it's just like the Christmas gathering that they had.
Okay. Well, why would he go there? You mean the Christmas gathering Charlie's mom had?
Oh, you know what? He's going to pick up Charlie, it looks
Right.
like, and Charlie, and
Right.
he's late.
He's
like
late.
hours late.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Anyways, gets Charlie. goes home. Kevin, let me know if there's a time jump, because I feel like there's a time jump I'm missing here, where we do one Christmas, then we do another one.
I don't think so.
All right. We get Charlie. We go home. I think, again, it's like microwaved mac and cheese dinner. It's not even good. You know what I mean? Something shitty for Charlie there. I think he might want him to read The Night Before Christmas. He's too busy for it or something. Or he starts, then he gets a phone call about fucking toys, and he bounces on that shit. So then it's bedtime or whatever, right? But what happens? Santa shows up. Santa's up on the roof. He's fucking stumbling around like fucking the guy at the end of The Departed.
Exactly. Alec Baldwin.
He's stumbling into everything, you know what I mean? He's just fucking knocking into. There's people up there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's the classic Santa.
And so it gives enough time for Tim Allen to go outside. And Charlie follows too, because I think maybe they're having an argument or whatever. And they go outside, right? And Tim Allen's like, "What are you doing up there?" And Santa like just flips out. Santa can't believe somebody fucking saw him. You know what I mean?
You did miss a key thing that I need to let you know, because I feel like this is going to set the stage a little bit more. On Christmas Eve, Scott burns the turkey. So him and Charlie.
They go to Denny's.
They go to Denny's.
And there's some waitress that they have a whole conversation with.
And that's why. And then at night they're awakened by the noise on the roof. And that's
why, because they went to Denny's.
No, but I just thought the Denny's was important.
It was. That's good detail. In the business, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we call color. If you've ever wondered about the business of interview, that's color. That's what makes it stand out. You can go to the New York Times podcast about movies, and they tell you the plot of the movie you should watch. But they would leave out facts like they went to Denny's.
No alcohol, you guys. Like, not even a little, not even anything. He didn't even do the weed, as he says later in this episode.
Oh my God.
All right, so Santa bumbling around, Alec Baldwin style.
He falls, boom, goes down, bam, he's down, and he's hurt real bad. Not immediately dead, hurt real bad, right? And so Scott Calvin runs over there, checks on him, right? And like, pass him down, oh my God, he got some ID, and he pulls out the little Santa Claus card, right? And as he's reading that with Charlie, this is always the creepiest thing to me. Santa, his final thing in his little mitten hand is to wave goodbye. And then he fucking disappears.
Yeah, hey, it's like the Terminator moment, but.
Yeah. And so they're like, what is this shit all about? You know what I mean? I think they go back inside maybe to call 911. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But they hear more stuff on the roof, and they come outside, and he walks into the ladder. There's a ladder out there. He walks into the ladder, and I think maybe a little bit of the fairy dust comes down, or the Santa dust or whatever. And Olive Party, can't wait for the Clippy B interview. A little bit of the dust comes down, right? And then it's like, what is this? And Charlie's like, a rose such a clatter. Like, because the rose, a rose such a ladder.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's clatter. It's a joke about the kid's book. Anyways, he goes up there, and they're carrying Santa's thing. I don't think he's put on Santa's coat yet.
So there's another key thing that I want to let you know, because I feel like it's going to spark you here. The dead man's body vanishes. They didn't mention the hand wave, so you're adding the color. I appreciate that.
That is there. Kevin, I swear to God, I'll bet the goddamn farm on it.
Yeah, so Greg's on that even more than the Wicked Kids. But here we go, leaving behind a red suit and business card.
I already talked about the business card. He already had the business card.
Okay, do you remember what it says?
The card says Santa Claus. We're not talking about the clause written around the brim of the card, because that happens later in the picture.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, here we go. Greg is becoming the Santa Claus. Don't put this on, Greg. If you put it on, there's some responsibilities.
I think, again, it comes down to if you have to kill Santa before you can wear the hat. So it's like...
At this point, I'm not so sure you have it.
Whose head is this built for?
Oh, my God. No.
All right. I'm like a Santa wizard? All right. He gets up there. What do they discover? Reindeer. The reindeer are up there. And I know what you're thinking. Rudolph? No. The one reindeer everybody cares about, but that isn't super canon, the Green Ranger of the fucking reindeers.
I mean, that analogy doesn't work, but I appreciate it.
Well, how does it not work?
Because he does. How does he not count?
Because the Green Ranger isn't in every Power Rangers episode. He isn't a core member of the group. The White Ranger eventually is, yes, but the Green Ranger is not.
Okay.
And everybody thought the Green Ranger was dope as shit, so it was like fucking Billy shows up. Like, fuck off. All right?
So hold on. So what? In your mind, which reindeer do you equate to the Green Ranger? The one that's too dope but doesn't show up for that long. Which one? Is it Donner? Is it
No,
Blitzen?
I said that's Rudolph.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Rudolph's got a whole song. He's fucking dope as shit.
Yeah.
And instead, it's like, oh, here you got Donner and Blitzen and all these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And I can't be the only one who, you hear Donner? You think I'm cannibalism, right?
You think of what? Cannibalism? Oh, Donner Party, Tim. Donner Party.
I'm aware.
From the
I'm aware, Kevin.
What's the lore? Who's Rudolph's dad?
Rudolph's dad?
I don't know if they've ever gone that far
The
into
fucking
it.
lore? I remember all of the other reindeer?
Yeah, they didn't play the games.
What?
They didn't play no
They
games.
didn't play no games. They were RGB.
They were RGB.
Oh my
RGB
God.
existed.
You know what? I simultaneously apologize to everybody and also say you're
Donner.
welcome for this episode.
Rudolph's father is Donner.
Really? No.
Shut the fuck
Where
up.
is that
There's not
established?
no goddamn reindeer
Where is that
lore.
established?
I don't know. I looked up Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer's father, and Google immediately says Donner. Bam, right there.
So
No one knows who the mother is, though.
they get up there. They got the fucking reindeer. They're all grumpy. I forget which one's grumpy. He's grumpy.
Wait, hold on. The mother's name is Mitzi, although many believe the true mother should have been Vixen. This is interesting. Throw that in there.
All right. Anyways, they get up there. I believe he has put on the coat at this point, or the reindeer keeps nudging him, and he finally puts on the coat. And they're like, "What are we gonna do? Why are we doing the coat?" And he's like, "You put on the coat thing." And then Charlie climbs into the sled, and then Scott Calvin follows to get him out, and the sleigh takes off, right? And I think we go over the cops that they call because there was a break-in of a man at the house. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now it stops at the next house, and it is a whole thing of like, we're on the roof, how are we gonna get down? And Charlie's like, go through the chimney.
The only way.
And he's like, how could I ever fit through a chimney that small? It might not even be a chimney at this point, because this is the one that establishes if you just have any kind of pipe on top of your house, Santa can turn it into a chimney and turn your thing into a fireplace. So he can come in through there. Excuse me, I drink a Coke. And so, Scott Calvin grabs the bag of toys. And this is another one of there's a few different toy deliveries here. So you'll excuse me, of course, for this 25 years I haven't watched this movie. One of them like floats him up and then goes down the pipe real easy. Another time he goes down and that's when it makes the fireplace. Another time he goes down, there's a dog like that barks at him, gets mad at him. But one of the ones he goes down and he's putting stuff under there. There's a girl there named Susie, I think it is. Really, one of those names, whatever. Fact check me on that one. Fact check me on that
How,
one.
Greg? How?
I could be wrong.
I know, but the fact that you even know as much
And she
detail.
wakes up and she goes, Santa. And he's like, no, I'm Scott fucking Calvin. He's just
There she is.
He's whipping presents. Yeah, he's whipping presents underneath the thing. Don't get us claimed. Whipping presents underneath the thing, right? And just talking shit to her because he's over it at this point, right? And aren't you gonna drink the milk? And aren't you gonna have the milk? And he's like, no, I'm lactose intolerant or whatever. And so he's like, fuck you. And he like DX crotch chops her a few years early.
Color. There it is.
Yeah, there's the color. And he goes back up to go deliver more to presents, and they go do it. And this keeps happening. And at one point, like, there's a bit of concern from Scott about, his son being 30,000 feet above the air or whatever. And he hears like Charlie having a scuttlebutt, and he looks back there, and it's just a bunch of puppies, like there's or maybe one puppy.
Yes.
In my head now, it's multiple puppies. But they get it done. They do this whole thing. They deliver all the thing, and that's great. And then the sled not even on autopilot, I apologize, with the Donner Blitzen rocker, the fucking cannibal.
Uh-huh.
They all go back to the North Pole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they go all the way back to the North Pole, and they land, and there's like, what's going on or whatever, right? And so then they get greeted by a female elf, and this is gonna kill me. She's so good. She's got a very distinct elf name. Fuck.
Judy?
Yep, Judy, who makes the best hot cocoa in the world.
Classic elf name.
This was her thing. It's some kind of 400,000-year-old recipe or some
she's
shit.
definitely Judy.
It's weird that like everyone's credited, like there's a character named Bernard, there's
Yeah, I told you about
Detective
Bernard.
Nunzio, Miss Daniels, but she's Elf Judy is her name.
Yeah.
So maybe her name's Elf Judy
Well, that's fine.
with elf in it.
Yeah. Anyways, though, she has like a 4,000-year-old recipe for hot cocoa. She's perfected. Scott thinks it's real good. They're taking good care of Charlie. Eventually, and she's like good cop. You got good cop, bad cop here, right?
Who's the bad cop?
Good cop, Judy. Bad cop, Bernard.
Oh,
Bernard shows
Bernard.
up, and I don't think he's ever even like Santa, let alone knew Santa. You know what I mean?
Damn.
So he's laying down the rules and doing all this shit and talking, and he's like trying to explain to him that you're saying, he's like, I'm not Santa, I'm Scott Calvin. I'm never. And this is where Tim take the, you have the card? He's like, yeah, I got the card. And grab his card and does the giant like, ooh, and like Tim Allen again. Nowadays, you kids only want to go if it's got a Frodo or it's got a blue person in it, all right? We went to the moving picture house for Tim Allen because he's doing like the, like, you know, the fucking crazy faces in the magnifying glass as Bernard really quickly reads the border. The border is not the border, right?
Now, Craig,
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this because here you are, you know the details, you know the facts, you do the 4,000-year recipe, all that stuff. I want to know how close you can get to what it says on the
Oh
card.
my God, no. I mean,
I'll give you the first 2 words. If something.
something should happen to Santa and the purveyor of this card. Something should happen to Santa and the purveyor of this card. This is a binding contract, and if you put on the coat if you put on the coat, you become Santa for blah, blah, blah. It's the Santa Claus. Not Santa Claus, the Santa Claus. You see?
Yeah.
Give me the actual words.
What I have here is, if something should happen to me, put on my suit, the reindeer will know what to do.
Oh, wow, that was not at all. I thought it was way more legalese.
Yeah.
Because again, I didn't watch it, but oh, no future spoilers.
No, that doesn't sound right.
I apologize.
Tim, are you sure that's right?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. But maybe this was just earlier. That's what could put him on the clothes, and then later he sees more. The Wikipedia is not telling me though. So I was hoping to count on you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. That's what the card says normally, and then the border when you enlarge it is there. Kevin's on it. He's scrolling through.
Thank you.
When
Kevin.
you get to the classic giant magnifying glass scene, Kev, that's where it's going to be. But no, I need you to. Yeah, but see, this is different though. Oh, I guess it's not.
I'll scroll.
One of the top Google searches is the Santa Claus enforceable? And I love that
Piano
someone's
Fish
trying
Tank says that's what it says on the card, but not the border. Yeah, the border is the legally binding. You're Santa for life now, whether you like it or not. Kind of thing. And so they say this, and he's like, "Bullshit! I won't fucking do it. I'll kill all of you before I let that happen." And they're like, "No, Scott, it's you're Santa, whatever. Don't stop calling me Santa." And there's back and forth, and he yells, and he's scared. And he says something to make all the elves gasp, but maybe that is just Elf because I just watched Elf last night while we're putting up the tree. I digress, though. Okay. Eventually, though, guess what happens? Scott, there it is. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh, there's those faces.
See, yeah, he's talking about it right there, right? Yep. See, that's what I'm talking about. And look at these faces. Here we go. I'll try to keep up, okay? Go, Kev. The Santa Claus. I'm putting on the suit and entering the sleigh. The wearer waives all rights to a previous identity, real or implied, and fully accepts the duties and responsibilities of Santa Claus in perpetuity until such time the wearer becomes unable to do so by either accident or design. See? Fucking nailed it.
There we go.
Very legal.
There
Look
we
at
go.
Bernard. You know what I mean? Bernard, what a career Bernard's had. You still see him and stuff. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
also that kid in Adam's Family Values.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Wednesday's little boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so they wake up back at home in their beds. They're back home, everybody. How did that happen? That's crazy. And Scott's like, it was all a dream. And Charlie's like, Dad, that doesn't make any fucking sense. It can't be a dream. I had the same dream as you, like down to the details. Like, Charlie, shove it up your ass and don't tell your mom, all right?
Wow.
I'm already got 2 strikes. You know what I mean? And I got 2 strikes. I can't get a third here with your mom, all right? And so they pick, mom comes and picks him up with Judge Reinhold, and like he does a whole, like Charlie says something, and it's one of those things where like, not like, Charlie says something, I means whatever the fuck, He doesn't mean Santa, he means Satan. We were worshiping Satan.
Rabbits eat lettuce from South Park.
Yes, exactly. And so they send him home. All's well as ends well, or so Scott Calvin thinks. Charlie's mad at him, obviously. Why are you lying, Dad? There's a lot of that shit, you know what I mean? Charlie, it's the real fucking world, that's why, all right? It's the real goddamn world out here. I can't say what the fuck, I murdered Santa and now I'm Santa. That doesn't go well for me.
No, that would be really bad for SC.
So Scott Calvin now is in what I like to call a rock and a hard place, where he doesn't want to be Santa. He has no interest in being Santa, but guess what? He's been cursed. He has the Santa curse. And so his body starts having all sorts of changes. Tim Allen, a fairly fit individual. You know what I mean? Classic dad bod. Not Santa bod, dad bod, right? And so he starts having all these weird things. He starts gaining a lot of weight, right? He's getting fat.
He balloons to 192 pounds, which
Balloons.
is
Fuck those people, you know what I mean?
But I think based on what he was like the day before.
So, but here's the
192
thing.
Pounds? Woof.
We know how much he was the day before because it tells us here that he gained 45 pounds. You're telling me that Tim Allen, in this movie, they're trying to claim that he started at like 145 pounds? That doesn't sound right at all.
That
He
seems
was,
unhealthy.
he was a
I'm gonna
fit
look up
individual,
his- I'm
all
gonna
right?
look up
It
his
doesn't
height.
matter. These are facts we don't need. This is
It's
too
all
much
just bad color.
This is like when Nick recaps a movie.
Got it.
And you want to fall asleep and then roll over. You know what I mean?
fall asleep and then roll
I didn't roll
over.
the car over, but I just fucking said what I said.
There's a car now.
I fell asleep driving.
Excuse me.
I listen in
Excuse me,
review.
everybody.
I listen in review when I drive. I'm sorry, all right? Anyways, he starts gaining all this weight. None of his clothes fit. He goes to a very important toy meeting and sweats. Tells people he's been stung by a bee. That's one of the ways he's trying to get out of this, right? But the problem is that, you know, it's one of these classic LA type meetings. You know what I mean? One of these left coast meetings, you know what I mean? And so they're all having their salads and their quinoas and their smoothies.
Yep.
And they're like, what do you want? And they're all going, what do you want? And he's like, I'll have the salad too. And also this. And also a cookie and also a thing. But he's eating a lot of sweets because he wants a lot of sweets. And so then people are like, maybe you didn't get stung by a bee. You know what I mean, fatso? And then I forget what the meeting's about, but he fucks that up too. I think it's one of those things where it's like, we'll show Santa with an AK-47, or, you know, Santa's fucking all these chicks or whatever. And he's like, Santa wouldn't do that. The reindeers wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like that kind of crap. And so they get mad at him at that point. He goes, I'm going to throw it in here. No, it doesn't happen yet. Maybe, no, man. I'm gonna throw it in here. There's also the classic scene of he grows the beard all of a sudden overnight, and he shaves that, and it grows right back, and then he dyes his hair. It's all white because it's Santa white, and then he dyes it, and it comes, or I'm sorry, he dyes it black, but then it goes right back to white, and then he goes, oh, and he old buddy or something like that. He says something like, oh,
He says, oh, buddy. Can we get a fact check on oh, buddy,
It's
please?
not old buddy, it's old boy, it's whatever the fuck it is. I don't remember. And so then. There's another scene where he goes to try to be a non-shitty dad to Charlie. He goes to, like, I think the soccer game or some bullshit, right? And Charlie has expressed to his mom and stepfather, we'll give Judge Reinhold the title of, right, that dad is Santa. And they're like, what does he mean, Scott? And Scott's like, oh, he means we like Santa or whatever, some shit like that. But Charlie, of course, what I like to call a narc. You know what I mean? Like, cool, Greg, how do we feel about narcs? Ain't with it, he says. And that's the whole thing, is that Charlie just won't shut his fucking fat yap about this. I'll let you know from day one, which is already come and gone, I guess. But let's say day one, once he knows how to speak, Ben will never narc on me and Jen. You know what I mean? Unless he needs to for something about himself, you know what I mean? But like in terms of like me being Santa, this kid's not gonna say a goddamn thing. Steal a trap, my son. I watched you go through the 6 stages of grief there. I'm like, how do I respond to this?
That's been this whole thing.
You're like, I understand Greg meant it in a good way, but then it's like, oh shit, this could be a bad way. Well, you know, just rewind it. Kevin, rewind to the episode beyond that. So, Charlie and Narc. Charlie's saying all this shit to his mom and stepdad that he does not need to say. He does not need to say this stuff, but he's saying it. So they've had these conversations about Scott thinking he's Santa or whatever. Or he's like, no, I'm not. Then at this soccer game, he's trying to sit there and watch Charlie play the game or whatever it is. But all these kids keep coming over. This one girl keeps coming over and trying to like tugging on his sleeve and be like, I want a pony, I want a whatever for Christmas this year. And so he finally engages with that one girl, but then it's a giant line of kids who are stacked up out there, like wanting to talk to him. He also, at some points at his house, gets this giant delivery, and it's all the naughty and nice lists that he's got to go through and double check and all that jazz. And so it's like, shit, you know what? Fuck, I am Santa. And, you know, as much as I don't want to be Santa, I'm Santa.
See, this is so impressive because, like, I'm trying to keep up on the wiki, and, like, you're just so much more detailed than the wiki is. Like, you were doing a much better job.
I often am. I often do. And this is, what's happening? Oh, okay.
But we're still recording.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, look into it. So here's where I get foggy, where I can't remember how/why he's like, all right, I'll go back to the North Pole.
There's a one key thing here involving a meeting at work.
A meeting at work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Scott disrupts a meeting at work to call out their idea of promoting a television advertisement of Santa riding a toy tank.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the gun earlier. I just combined it into that other meeting. I apologize.
Gotcha. And then, this leads to the naughty nice list that he gets mailed. And then after Laura and Neil witness children wanting to sit on his lap at the soccer game.
Oh, was that too? Neil, that's his name.
Neil, yeah. And then they get to Thanksgiving at some point.
Okay. And this is when they show up and abduct him, or what?
Scott goes to Laura and Neil's house to say goodbye to Charlie, but Neil won't let him anywhere near Charlie. When Neil insists Scott's not Santa, the magical snow globe is shown.
Oh, right. Charlie has that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bernard gave him the snow globe and said, because Charlie's like, I'll never see you again or whatever. And he's like, if you ever want to see me, just shake this thing and you can come back to the fourth dimension here or whatever. That's what I want. What does he say? The quote is, I'm in big trouble.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's a good one. Anyways, he shakes the snow globe. They both disappear. They don't see it, right? The step parents don't see it, so they like file immediately like there's a kidnapping here.
Yes.
Scott thinks he's Santa Claus and he's kidnapped our son.
Yes.
Got it. Instead, no, they've just been sent up to the North Pole to get ready for Christmas Day. And I think I might be crossing over with elf knowledge and maybe Santa Claus 2 knowledge that they need.
No future spoilers, Craig. Be careful.
That's why I'm treading lightly. No, I don't think there's anything with the sleigh. No, the sleigh's fine. I thought maybe there was, but I don't think there is. They make upgrades to the sleigh, but it's not a whole spirit thing. That's an elf thing. Anyways, so they go up there and they're just getting North Pole ready. They're just getting everything ready. They're working on the toys. They're knocking the things around with the hammers and shit like that. And everything's going fine, except for the fact that everyone in America thinks Scott kidnapped his son. And okay. And so finally it's the big day, and they go out to do their stuff. There it is. This is the big day. Are we showing the audience this? How badly are we going to get claimed by Disney Plus?
I think we're going to be okay because of how quick he's been doing it. There's no audio.
Okay,
there's no audio?
That's what I was thinking. No
I
audio.
think we're going to be okay.
I'm trying to do it quick.
Yeah, we're rolling them dice on this one in so many ways.
But on the live, it hasn't, like, since we're back live, there hasn't been any warnings there, which it sometimes gives you.
Okay.
Here we are. It's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
They're getting ready.
They're getting out their big thing. They're going to go out and do their big thing. They go out there. They start going. The thing, of course, is that, well, again, I shouldn't say that. Maybe, I don't think it's his first house. Basically, they've set a trap. They understand that Scott Calvin thinks he's Santa Claus and that he's kidnapped Charlie. So the police and the step-parents are going to catch this motherfucker. They're going to catch a predator, some would say.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if it happens on the first go-round. It can't be the first house. That doesn't make any sense. But he does get caught. He's going in there putting presents and he gets caught, right? The cops get him. They take him into jail.
Arrested.
I like get him personally. That's just me. They get him and they take him into jail. And the whole time he's Santa Claus. What's your other name? Kris Kringle. This is the interrogation room. Papo Gijo. Another just fucking Tim Allen. A national treasure. You know what I mean? Except for, I'm sure, the horrible stuff he's done. Don't send me links to all this horrible shit he's done.
We don't want to know.
Does he's in horrible shit?
I think he has very conservative views.
Like, very bad.
Very bad.
Tim Allen.
Do you remember the day when you could just go to the motion picture house, you'd see the movie, and then you'd never know? You know what I mean?
I do
Pandora's
remember
box out here.
episode, 2 of this show, where it was us, like, yeah. Here we are. The Santa Claus.
Anyways, he's brought in to, book him Dano, and they're like, yeah, Papo Gijo, and do all the other funny things. It's great or whatever. And
hold on, sorry. This happens a lot when you're doing an in-review plot, all right?
Yeah.
Where you just start saying things and all of a sudden it's words, and then you start having a conversation with yourself that's not in your head, but sometimes it feels like you think it's in your head, but you're actually just saying it. And then you start saying sounds and words. What you just did, like you just said something, Papa Gijo, and then you just said Papa Gijo again. I'm gonna need a little clarification of what Papa Gijo is.
When they are interrogating Santa Claus, Tim Allen.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's your name? He's like, Santa Claus. What's your real name? And he starts running through aliases. He's like, oh, I'm known the world over as million. He's like, Kris Kringle.
Yeah.
And then one of the ones he does from another section of the world is Papa Gijo.
Oh,
and he does it in a little voice. I like it a lot.
Okay, gotcha. That makes more sense.
Thank you. Kevin, what are you doing to this background?
He's making it all spicy.
We just happened to get this background today, like literally as you were calling for a holiday background, but it is a still image. So I'm trying to make it the fireplace moving because I like the reflection on the ground. Look at how beautiful it is.
Nice. Here we are, making magic happen live in front of your eyes as Greg, by memory, impressively recounts the tale of the Santa Claus. We're almost at the end.
I know we are.
And damn, you're crushing.
It's a tight movie.
It's actually not. It's really not.
Oh,
would you believe this is an hour and 40 minutes? I wouldn't. I would have bet Santa Claus, that's a sweet hour 15.
When we do in review, we'll be all about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one here where again, Charlie believes, and he's back with his parents, but or his step parents, or his mom and Neil. And, he's trying to get them to listen. They won't listen. But I think this is when he gets Neil to look in the snow globe and mom to look in the snow globe, and they see magic, and they're like, oh shit, we had this wrong. He actually is Santa. But this is another brownout part for me where I don't remember how we spring him from the joint.
So here's the thing. Like, even the Wikipedia is very vague about this, but what it says is, upon arriving at Laura and Neil's home, Scott's arrested. The elves send a team to break him out of jail.
Right.
Scott convinces Laura and Neil that he's Santa and asks Charlie to spend Christmas with them as they're his family too.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
yeah.
do you guys now remember it was like their SWAT team of elves with like jetpacks. It's EL. I can see it now.
Yeah. And they fly out of the North Pole and everything.
That was incredibly cool. Yeah. Fantastic.
And so they bust him out. Snow globe thing. Again, this is also back to where we all started and where you're going to finish this episode, where Madeline was like, Santa's real in the world, but the parents don't believe it, so how do they not believe? There are two different stories. Neil's story is, I stopped believing in Santa Claus when I asked for an Oscar Mayer weenie whistle and didn't get it. Mom's story is, I asked for a dream date and didn't get it. And they're both like, this is how I knew Santa wasn't real, right? And so that was told way back when they're trying to convince Charlie Santa's not real, right? Now here at the end, when everything that you just said happens, right? And they're getting in the sleigh to fly away, he tosses out the gifts in these like little silver balls, and they come down in parachutes. And they open those up, and it's dream date, and it's his weenie whistle. And they're like, oh man, well, I mean, we can see you fucking flying, and we just went through all this shit, but like, Santa was real. But I mean, this opens up a whole Pandora's box of, why didn't these kids get what? Why were they on the naughty list that year? Why didn't Santa give them the weenie whistle then?
Well, maybe we'll get a prequel series on Disney Plus.
Because I don't even know what the Santa Claus.
I think it must be a sequel series, but like, we need to know the story of Laura and Neil.
Right. And so now it's back to, we're gonna go do the workout there, right? And this is where Charlie introduces some of the cool things he's added to the sleigh. Him and Bernard put in a hot cocoa machine.
Yes.
That's fucking dope. Because you always look at that, and as a kid, you're like, that's cool. I wish I had on tap hot cocoa. And so they go and they make their deliveries. He makes it back to the little girl's house. This time he comes down, because she had said you also weren't fat like Santa. Now he's fat this year. She makes a comment to that, and he's like, woohoo. And but he eats the cookies, he drinks them, and she's this is great. He drinks the milk, and he eats the cookie, and then drinks the milk, and then goes, I think something's wrong. I think your milk went bad. And she's like, no, it's whatever, it's lactose-free milk. And he's like, you remember. And it's like a really sweet, come around
I love that.
There, whatever. And they just fucking crush it, get the presents out there. I want to say there was some deadline for Christmas cheer. I don't know if it's like the world ends if he doesn't get them all by sunrise or some shit. But like,
he turns back into a frog.
Soy milk. Thank you, Cody. I want to say there was something, but I could be wrong on that one. I could be wrong about that part. But they fucking crush it, right? And now he's just going to stay up in the North Pole and be chill and have his thing there. And Charlie can come and visit him whenever he wants because they have magic. Why is anybody concerned about this, right? And I think we get a, Merry Christmas to all and to all good night kind of thing. And then I think like, again, there's some kind of, he flies by and we see like Neil and the mom and they're like, oh, Scott. But again, mom happy with Neil.
Yeah.
Not trying to break up this relationship.
No, I mean, again, you killed it, and I am so impressed because like you crushed this so much more than this Wikipedia article. I do want to read the last paragraph on this because if you did not have any knowledge of what this movie is, and you just heard that this is a real movie, you'd probably be shocked. On Christmas Eve, Scott sets out to deliver the gifts with Charlie in tow. Upon arriving at Laura and Neil's home, Scott's arrested. The elves send a team to break him out of jail. Scott convinces Laura and Neil that he's Santa and asks Charlie to spend Christmas with them as they are his family too. Laura burns the court papers suspending Scott's visitation rights and tells Scott he can visit anytime. Bernard appears and tells Charlie that anytime he shakes the snow globe, his father will appear. Before leaving, Scott gives Laura and Neil the 2 Christmas presents that they never got as children, which had caused their disbelief in Santa. Scott proves his identity to the police before heading off, and Neil apologizes to Charlie, who forgives him. Charlie summons Scott back with the snow globe, and Laura agrees to let Charlie go with Scott in the sleigh to finish delivering the presents. That is an unbelievable plot for a movie, and here we go. Successful. 25 years later, people remember it so fondly.
I remember, and I also appreciate that she tosses the papers in the fire. It's like, that's a great symbolic gesture, but I still think in the American legal system, and they are binding. You know what I mean?
There's a whole situation here. I mean, although this man's a different man now, from SC to SC.
SC to SC, indeed. And that was the thing. He had pajamas that were monogrammed, but he thought they were Scott Calvin and Santa Claus.
That was good.
That's how it is.
Always so clever. That's the thing. I love when you look at 90s movies and you start thinking, like, why was this movie made? And then you realize it's because someone had the brilliant idea of the Santa Claus. And they're like, well, we got to make a movie out of that.
Yeah.
What could it be? And that's what results in the paragraph I just read you, where they're like, well, it's legal. There has to be a legal situation somewhere, right?
Legal was big back in the 90s. Remember that? Liar, Liar? The practice on TV?
Yeah.
Like, we loved legal shit back then, Kev.
Liar, Liar, man. I hope it
Boston
holds
Legal?
up.
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
Rashida
yes.
Jones had a huge crush on her on that. She was a receptionist.
A lot of legalities here, you know? It's what I got for you, Barrett. It's what I got for you. It's what I got for you today.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to get you to this interview with Cliff Bleszinski, Control Freak, and then have you watch how we got to this intro. But I digress. You already would know all of that and have seen all of that if you'd have been on patreon.com/kindafunny. Over on patreon.com/kindafunny, of course, you can get each and every episode ad-free. You can get the show whenever you want as an MP3 or a video ad-free. You can get it with the 38 episodes of bonus content we do exclusively over there each and every month. And of course, you could get your name read as a Patreon producer, just like Morgan Lorraine, Fargo Brady, Hillary Barnard, not Bernard, Barnard according to this. ID_Raven, Immersion Fragrances, Delaney Twining, Christopher Rodriguez, the Kinda Funny Destiny 2 PC Clan, Corey Turnipseed. It's too late in the day for me not to laugh at Corey Turnipseed. You know what I mean? Imagine you're Mr. Seed. You're Mr. Seed. You're Cody Seed. You're about to have a son, and you're like, give this kid the middle name Turnip. People are fucked up out there, and it boggles the mind. Tall Tree 81. Trent Berry, Joseph A. Carlson, Tranquil Uranium, Macro, One Up Pest Control, Alex J. Sandoval, James Hastings, Colin Huguenot, Carrie Palmer, Skylar Peterson, Casey Andrew, Elliot, Brian Cheney, Casey Kern, Greg with 2 G's in the front, 2 G's in the back, Trevor Starkey, Adam, just Adam, I like it, Jacob Molfelt, Super Daddy Kyle, Undertopian, David Mintel, Jordan from Kansas, boo! Cameron Boas, Jay Kolbs, David Hazenga, Jerica, a.k.a. Jerichu, Hannah, Molecule, Nathan Lamoff, Monica Boomerang. I'm not laughing at the name, I'm laughing at that's how I decided to say it.
Yeah.
I'm like Adam Sandler all of a sudden.
Goon out here.
You're Julia Gulia? Monica? Monica. We'll say, Bamanle. I'm sorry, Monica. Delaney Twining, which I thought we already read.
Rumenlog?
Yeah, that's right, maybe.
No, I think so.
Ryan Anderson, Kelly Kimball, Eric Velasquez, Ivan Quiz, Scotty Wyatt, Alex Greedle, Mur, Al Tribesman, Jacob Meyer, Stefan Stryker, Gordon McGuire, Burt Meg, totally normally, Jason L., James Davis, a.k.a. Burt Meg.
No!
Oh, my God. And it's the fact it's B-E-R-T. You know what I mean?
I don't.
I'm sorry. I had a Coke.
You had a Coke, everybody.
I was so close to being gone. I was almost out of it. I was so close. Burt Meg.
He got through Burt Meg. Got a couple names past him. Had to go back. Like he was in the middle of saying James Davis, aka at James Davis Makes, but was thinking about Burt Meg.
I often am. James Davis, a.k.a. at James Davis Makes. Mick, at Nanobiologist Abramson. Arrow Joe, DJ Kento on Twitch. Ryan T. from Tennessee. Derek Gregg, Donald Eccles, Short Fuse 06, Jordan Harrison, and Sean Valoric. Whew.
You did it. I'm so proud of you. But not as proud of you for nailing that plot summary. Like, I am always impressed with your memory of lyrics, with your ability to do a plot for a movie we just watched.
Sure.
This is a whole new level, Greg.
I like that.
The details, the color, as you called it.
Yeah.
Man,
Well,
Man.
I hope you enjoyed it and will enjoy the rest of this episode because there's still a lot to come. However, all those people I just read and everybody else on patreon.com/kindafunny, they don't have to worry about the ads you're about to hear.
Shout out to Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode. This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you'll get another 3 months for free. Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home with eSIM while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. I've had my mom using Mint Mobile long before this holiday deal, and I have to say, now is the perfect time to switch. All plans come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. Or if you need a new device for a limited time, get 6 months of free service when you buy a select device and plan. For a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months free by going to mintmobile.com/kindafunny. That's mintmobile.com/kindafunny. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/kindafunny. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Is it checking up on your credit score? I don't think so. At Chime, that's exactly what they do. With their secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, you can start to build credit with your own money. Their members see an increase of 30 points on average. So start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. That's chime.com/KFgames. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank, NA, pursuant to a license from Visa USA Chime checking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive impact on your credit score. Impact to score may vary, and some user scores may not improve. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply except at MoneyPass ATMs at 7-Eleven or any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. So again, start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. That's chime.com/KFgames. Shout out to Shady Rays for sponsoring this episode. Look how cool I look. You too can look this cool without breaking the bank this holiday season. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of $200 shades for a fraction of the price and a fraction of that price during their biggest Black Friday sale ever. The best part about Shady Rays is their insane protection program featuring lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us that they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Dropped in the lake, off a cliff, anything. If you get the wrong style for yourself or someone else, no need to worry. Avoid the hassle and the forced thank yous with free 30-day exchanges and returns. You will either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay to ship them back. Act now for their best Black Friday selection. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kinda Funny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the engaged one at Tim Geddes.
Let's him host. Pleasure to be with you today, Greg.
We've dropped the dead weight, and we've added published author Clifford Bleszinski. Hello, Cliff.
Salud. Very good to see you guys.
It's good to see you.
Is it that soon where we plug the book?
Oh, yeah.
Why? You do right. Well, eventually we're just going to start talking about it as a hot dog, a sandwich. So you start with this. You get the book out of the way. There it is. Yeah. Control Freak, available right now from Simon & Schuster. You can go get it anywhere, wherever fine books are sold. Also, there's the audio version. Amazon, yeah, whatever else. Yeah. Cliff, here's where I want to start as someone who's read the book, all right?
Okay.
How do you think of yourself in 2022?
I feel like I'm a Pokemon that's evolved but hasn't quite seen its final form.
Okay, I like that.
We can help with that.
Yeah.
You know?
I see, I'm damn near, I'm 47 at this point. And I'm at the point where I'm at the sage age where my father was when he passed. Just so happens I, don't eat melted butter every night on my popcorn, and I don't smoke, and, all that stuff.
Helpful.
The thing is, life is what happens when you're making other plans. And so I see the book as kind of chapter overall 1 of where my life is going. And now we're in full midlife crisis mode, baby.
Next step, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a lot of work to write. And I don't expect it to be a New York Times bestseller anytime soon. But I think those who pick it up, who are curious why their kids play so many video games, want to make them, want to be Twitch streamers, want to be TikTokers, YouTubers, influencers, things like that. I think depicting my journey in the business and my growing up in the business as the industry grew up, I think it'd be very enlightening to people, even those who don't make games or don't even play games. That's kind of what the goal was with it.
For sure. And I think I can see that in it. But what surprised me about it, and I shouldn't say surprised me, because I think I know you a little bit, right? I know you more than just being on Twitter. We've talked once or twice or been on the set or whatever together, is the fact that, how do you define yourself as one thing, but the way other people want to define you or what people think of you, I think is another, right? And
it's a two-folded issue, right?
Yeah.
The first issue is, over the course of my career, I made a name for myself by not only making really good games, but also by saying crazy shit and putting myself out there, sometimes in goofy outfits, and just, again, saying outlandish things. And that's how American politics are run right now. What's the most absurd shit I can say to get the other side to boost my voice? And people may not agree with what I say, but they know the names like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so, I was very polarizing over the course of my time working in video games. But also, it goes back to, I've had a lot of, hits from Jazz to Unreal Tournament, and of course Gears, and worked a little bit on goddamn Fortnite, which I see everywhere. God bless them. They did a great job with that pivot. But the thing is, you become known only for your biggest success. And so when it comes to, anytime I talk about Gears on my public social media, everyone's just like, Brand, make Gears better, fix Gears. Like I'm some sort of magic bullet, that's going to like ricochet off the heads of the people at the coalition that will suddenly fix what they think is wrong with the franchise, even though I think they're doing a perfectly good job with it. But it becomes the whole thing. It's like, you're like a sitcom guy who had like his phrase, like the old TV show, The State.
Yeah.
Where the guy had the catchphrase, I want to dip my balls in it, right? And it becomes like that. Like you become that guy that everyone's like, hey, do the thing. And there's no like one. I'm not the voice actor from it, but being the lead designer and whatnot, it's like, I like the Gears games. I'm like, I kind of worked on a few more than that. But I mean, that's the thing is, you often become most known for your most well-known thing. And so whenever I get recognized online or in public, and in public it's only once every week or two, which is the best kind of fame to have. When people, there's a guy the other line that was live streaming on Twitch, one of the games I did back when I was a teenager called Palace of Deceit. It was like one of those little 2D adventure games like Deja Vu and Uninvited. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even remember how to solve half these convoluted puzzles I did when I was like 17 years old. And but it was still like everyone was goo guying over the pixels and the pixel art and my cheesy art and my design and my prose and my 17-year-old ass wrote in Visual Basic. And I think it's one of those things like with the nostalgia phase. I just got a check off of Jazz Jackrabbit from Epic Games. So
Nice.
I still once a quarter get paid for a game I did in 1994. And that's pretty cool. But people have short-term memories. And with my career, they loved, the fans love to build me up, put me on the pedestal. This guy's great. He makes great games. And then I got cocky. And then they love to tear you down. Bosky sucks. Lawbreakers is an Overwatch clone, all that stuff. And Radical Heights isn't going to make it. And then the studio closes. And I just go quiet for a few years and just, reflect and pour out my thoughts in this intimate tome, which is available at fine booksellers everywhere.
Well, that's the thing about it, right? Because where I was driving with this is that I do think of you still as Cliff Bleszinski. Like, you know what I mean? You are a name in video games. As much as you try to run from it, you'll be back to make more video games. But it is that bravado, and it is the talent you have, and it is you being on an E3 stage. And I was taken aback a bit by how unflinching the autobiography is and the stuff you get into. I mean, you dropped to the top, but talking through and even, foreshadowing your father's death the way you do, talking about like how, you could smell the butter on him at night and he had heart problems, but, we'll get to that later. Talking about your own stuff you've had to go through, right? Of like, you, again, head-on address being molested in the book. You then, of course, talk about the video games, but you talk about your success, but you talk about your starter marriage. You talk about going through all these different things. I thought the entire section about Bosky and Lawbreakers and when you guys are out for drinks and they look at the phone and it's the Overwatch trailer and they go, we're so fucked. Like, this is all fascinating stuff, but did any of that ever make you want to go, maybe I shouldn't write the book or maybe I shouldn't put this in there? Did you want to gloss over that stuff or keep it away?
I know Jason Schreier. He wrote a couple of great books in the business. One was Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. The other one was, I can't remember the name of it. It was about studios shutting down. And he's a great writer. I've enjoyed both of his books. I recommended his books to everybody. And his are somewhat personal, but
Press
Jason
reset. Press reset. There it is.
Yeah. Or he could have called it "I will control, I'll delete you." But the thing is like his books are very, very good, but he still has that whole like torque point of like, are Sony and Naughty Dog going to sue me? And is Kurt Margino like know about the things I said about him and Last of Us or whatever, right? Like he still has that restraint. You know, I'm under NDA with Epic Games and Microsoft, but I skirted the line really, really well. I wasn't like, here's the secret to Unreal Engine. Here's the time I was hanging out with Mark Rain, sharing a comfort in with him in Toronto, and he was hanging around in his underwear. Like,
Now you're just doing it here.
it's actually true, but it's not in writing. So, that man had some gravy farts. But the thing is I wanted to make it deeply personal. Like my philosophy is, even if you don't like Facebook, you can watch The Social Network and understand the plight that Zuckerberg and the Winklevoss twins went through and all that stuff that happened there. If you don't like baseball, you can watch Moneyball and understand how Billy Beane managed to shape the Oakland A's in order to give the formula to the Red Sox winning their first World Series in however many decades. And so I don't even like baseball, but I'm still watching this. Like this is compelling stuff. And so the pitch, from Simon & Schuster was that it was going to kind of be Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential, but for video games, because he was very open and personal about his life as well as his travels. His story, unfortunately, had a really tragic ending, and I looked up to that guy who was so charismatic and handsome and compelling and just intelligent, and then he's like, no, I'm done. It's just like, Jesus Christ. But anyway, that just got dark. But yeah, the goal was to make something just personal and to put it all out there, and names have been changed to protect the not so innocent.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So the book's out. I'm very interested in that. I'm also interested in this karaoke career you have burgeoning that I'm seeing on social media. I need to know, what's in your mind, what's the pitch on the karaoke situation?
So I have a screenplay that I've been noodling on. I don't know if it'll ever go anywhere, and somebody who actually knows how to really write, could take this.
Gary Whitta.
The idea is it's pitch perfect for dudes. So basically you have a gaggle of dudes who work at an upcoming startup company, tech company, right? And it's flailing. It's on the way out. They're running out of runway. The main dude, his marriage is failing, right? And so one time he goes out with his boys and they drink all the Korean soju. They do all the Korean barbecue. They do all the karaoke, and they get drunk too much. They throw up in a plant, blah blah blah. But they wind up having a blast. And so they find places around town where they meet all these different characters, and it's kind of this arc of the main character finding his way out of his first marriage, finding a new love of his life, as well as finding a way to save his studio by having a singing competition in town. But also they only get like 50 people there, but it winds up going on Twitch and going viral and starting this whole trend of not just TikTok dancing, but also karaoke nights on social media and things like that. And it's temporarily called Mic Droppers. But I was a drama nerd in high school, and whenever I walk into a crowded bar, my wife's the shy one, I'm the extrovert. She'll like look around the room and she's like, oh my god, it's really busy, and I'm like, challenge accepted.
Yeah, here's my audience, baby.
and then scream all you want, you don't run anywhere from my voice. And then what happens is you got to read the crowd, right? And like I've seen people show up at a packed bar and like it's early in the night, but they just open with Mr. Brightside. You never open with Mr. Brightside. You close with Mr. Brightside. And then if it's mostly like a college crowd, you do like Before He Cheats or Kenny Chesney, She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy. Sometimes you switch it up with 90s hip hop or 80s hair metal. And my favorite thing is, I know most of the crew that comes to the beer garden that I go in on Mondays. And what we do is, we had this gaggle of people, the regulars. And if there's only like 6 or 7 people, we do what we call the test kitchen. It's like, all right, I guess I'm doing Nina Simone's Feeling Good tonight. I'll try that. And then I walk off. I'm like, and then once the crowd gets packed, I go to my list on my phone. Okay, here's my staples. Okay, I guess I'm going to do We're Not Going to Take It by Twisted Sister again. And, like my friend Travis, he films it. And, I'm not going to be on TikTok doing all this stuff and things like that. I'm too old for that shit. But, I do love karaoke. I was a drama nerd in high school. And every time I go to a comedy show or a theater show or karaoke, I wear my little comedy and tragedy necklace as kind of a good luck sign because I love the arts. I always have. I always will.
Are there songs that you feel are on the no-fly list where it's like the moment someone chooses it, you're like, this is not gonna work out?
At any point? Like at any point with a crowd?
Yeah, because we were just talking recently, me, my brother, and my fiance, like, what is your go-to karaoke song? And for the longest time, my fiance's
I'm busted on my list too, Cliff. I want you to grade my picks.
It was Underneath Your Clothes by Shakira. And I'm like, you need to stop doing this. It's too long, it's too slow, and it's depressing. Like, no one's happy about this.
A lot of it's the selection. Like, somebody, I was at a karaoke bar that was just popping one time, and this girl goes up and she does Patsy Cline's Crazy. And it's like, actually, I have a mic, so she's like, crazy for... And we're all like... It's like you got to read the room, and just once you get the vibe, you get the people going, and then like if you're gonna do hip hop, white people always want to say the word. You can't say the word, dude. It's physics, Morty. Books have been written about this shit, and so it's really really easy. Like if you're at a predominantly African American bar and you start to do like some 90s hip hop and the words in there, and you kind of can see like the constituents kind of turning and getting really like, look at this motherfucker, and then like I'm like dodging it like bullets. I'm saying brother, and things like that. And they're like, okay, he did okay.
He did okay.
The other one, the other go-to one is Turtle Power. You remember that from
awesome,
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie?
Sure.
On the half shell, they are the heroes for. In this day and age, who could ask for more? The crime wave was live. Anyway, I could do that shit. Gin and Juice. Fucking Bon Jovi's Dead or Alive. I think I might try and do Hammers. You Can't Touch Us. Billy Idol, Rebel Yell. You gotta do that voice. In the midnight, babe.
The clipping makes it sound like you're being murdered. Your plane's going down.
Yeah, I have fun with it. And the thing is my friend Travis videotapes like 45 seconds of it every week. And it's the thing is I respect the arts. That's the thing. Being a drama nerd in high school, I had no problem getting on stage at Grauman's Chinese Theater and playing Gears. I had no problem being at press junkets at GDC, doing keynotes at PAX and things like that. Just I have friends who start to do those kinds of things, and I tell them, the classic thing, just imagine people in their underwear. And remember, like whenever, rehearse. And whenever I would, do a rehearsal for a lecture and the dog would be barking or the doorbell would be ringing and Lauren would be like, shh. And I'd be like, no, because there's going to be somebody in the audience. You know this, man, you guys have done enough on stage. There's going to be somebody who's going to cough in the audience. There's going to be somebody who might yell at something. And there's going to be somebody who might do God knows what. And you have to be able to be like, yeah, that was great. And get right back on track. The other overlap with video games and karaoke and Broadway stuff that involve with, there's just a lot of overlap in those areas in regards to pacing, timing, memorizing lines, stand-up comedy, being able to, deviate from a plan. Same thing with game development. You look at Fortnite, it's like, oh, this Save the World's doing okay, but what if we pivoted and did a versus, a battle royale, step 3 profit. And that's the thing is, in software, knowing how to pivot. And it's, again, with Broadway, when they make a show, they do what they call a workshop, and they test it for a few months. They get it to where they think it's good. Then they do a test run in like DC or Soho in the UK. And then once they feel it's all nice and snug, they have the right cast, they boom, opening night on Broadway. And then hopefully it goes for years. Then it goes to the tour, and the licensing rights go to the schools so the kids can sing it in their drama class. The thing that I've learned is the overlap between all of these different industries. There's so much of the Venn diagram overlap. And for me, learning the video game industry as I was growing up, this book is literally from all the way from Space Invaders all the way through to, cryptocurrency and NFTs, whatever you want to say about them, and the metaverse and virtual reality, and where everything is going over the course of my life. As I grew up with the business as the business was growing up. Who knows if it's grown up yet?
It's to the point it's grown to now.
Yeah.
It will continue to grow up, and we will look back and, man, we were so young.
It is also not in its final form. Stage 2 Pokemon
There you
evolution.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, you know what I'm all about right now is Midjourney. Have you guys been messing with that AI stuff?
No, I see you tweet about it all the time.
It's for those of you who don't know, they basically have, there's multiple versions of this where they've done, they scraped ArtStation, they scraped all these different areas, and it had this giant gumbo of just data of images and humans and vehicles and landscapes and things like that. And you can literally go there and you log into their Discord, type /imagine, and then type in, like you can upload an existing image and have it modify it, or you can start saying, giant jackrabbit, headband, red headband, blue gun, turtles attacking, alien world, dramatic, cinematic lighting, highly detailed, go. And then 30 seconds later, boom, you get 4 versions of that. And then like some of them are just like, you'll have the turtle with like 6 eyes and the gun coming out of its ass, looking like it came out of like the teleportation pod from the Flyer or something from the thing, right? Exactly. Well, that's my wife still plays Pokemon Go, and I look at that. She's like, "Isn't that cute?" I'm like, "That looks like it came out of literally like the thing. Like, is that a dickhead with a spider legs coming out of it? I don't know. Okay, sure.
Hey.
You caught a squabbledygoof, babe. Good for you. Spoiler: you can't catch them all. But the thing about Midjourney is like, I have the multiple IPs that I'm working on. I'm even working on one with the missus. She's working on one of her own where it's a comic book that's about gargoyles and this kind of neo future where technologies replaced religion, all these kind of cool ideas. And she hasn't used it, but I've gotten pretty adept at it the last couple of weeks. So I'm sitting there, okay, you want this, that, you want a church that has server racks in it. Brrr, I'm firing all these files over it. And she's like, okay, I want a gargoyle perched on top of a church that looks kind of like The Crow with rain and then an atmosphere and smoke and cars crashing below. Boom. And it just cranks it out in there's been this huge uproar in the art community in regards to what AI means for this. Because artists are like, well, I guess I'm out of a job. But the thing is, there's some of them. I typed in Anna and Elsa defending castle from zombies with guns.
It's
And
wild,
it looks like
man.
it looks like Margot Robbie and I can't remember like a Reddit, like Jessica Chastain, and there's Luke and Vader enjoying a nice giant frosty milkshake on a beach. I'm assuming it was the beach in Rogue One, but somebody mentioned that the timeline was off because Luke wouldn't be that buff depending on. And I'm like, you fucking nerd. God bless you.
Get out of here,
That's
dork.
your problem with
Get
this?
out of here, dork. Let it be.
The milkshake's not even blue.
Yeah, and that was when I decided to run that famous photo of me with the chainsaw gun and the red shirt through it, and I'm like, and it's just the comedic value of these, and the thing is, I don't think this is going to replace concept art anytime soon. What it is for me is somebody who's iterating on multiple projects. I don't know if you've seen the dog one that I've been working on. Been working with Alex DeCampi. She did Maddie for Duncan Jones. She did Source Code Moon and the World of Warcraft film. She's been a delight to work with. So that's a project we're working on. We might have people interested in that right now that we're nibbling. But one thing I know is when you're completely freelance, shut up, dog. When you're completely freelance as a creative, it feels like an RPG where the world's finally opened up, and I can go over to the East Village. I can go to the Northern Lake. I can go to the Smoky Mountains. I can do whatever I want. And as a result, I have 4 or 5 of these just IPs that, I've paid certain artists to do concept art for before. If you saw the image of the dog overlooking the kind of domed city with the pigeon that I put out there a while back. But the thing is now just okay, here's what I'm thinking. You just get a smattering of stuff in the folder just to get to the point where you get the idea. If you're pitching something, you're working with an artist, you're working with a programmer, you're working with a 3D artist, you're working with an animator, a publisher, something that could be a Netflix series, a toy line, a video game, the whole 9 yards, Underoos, I'm down for that. So that's the thing is I'm back making IP and I don't have to babysit programmers. It's not that programmers need babysitting, but they question everything. The phrase I always say about working with a programmer is, arguing with a programmer is like wrestling with a pig in the mud. Eventually you realize the pig likes it. And programmers, they'll just argue. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. And it's like, no, you're kind of just being a dick. It's the old adage of, crush all the caterpillars, complain there's no butterflies. And, maybe one day, I'll get back involved in some manner, but it absolutely has to be on my own terms because, I know you get your own share of trolls being, visible people, but it gets old, man. You want to turn a blind eye, but every once in a while you're like, all right, motherfucker.
Yeah. But you can never engage, Cliff. That's the thing. I hear you. I know how tough it is, but yeah, I understand. Is that part of what, when you took the hiatus from game development was all about? That you were like, I'm just sick of fighting with people on Twitter and having people shit on my ideas or come at me or yada, yada, yada?
Well, that was part of it. I mean, at the end of the day, Lawbreakers was a solid game. I still get people tweeting me every day like I miss it. And what happened was, with my studio, again, the cockiness that people perceived that came out of me, it was a giant case of Schadenfreude, where it was like, look at Mr. Cocky game developer, guys, game studio failed, ha, ha, ha. And the press didn't help along the time. I'm not a fan of 45. I absolutely can't stand him. But the one point that he'll make occasionally is he'll make an offhanded comment, and then that becomes the main pull quote. And they take things out of context. It's the same thing. I don't want to go down the full comedy route, right? But I do like Dave Chappelle's comedy. And Dave Chappelle makes some really edgy, controversial statements, but he navigates that space and frames it within the context. So at the end, you're like, okay, that was a good point, and that was actually a pretty good joke. But what happens is people take one pull quote of one sentence completely out of context, put an article out about it, and then everyone just jumps on the outrage bandwagon. All the conversations about cancel culture and things like that. But it's one of those things that, YouTube videos, Bleszinski delusional releases character shooter next to Overwatch. Like that day you mentioned when we saw the video of Overwatch and Matt, my programmer's like, we are so fucked. Like it's like I stood up, pushed myself out of the chair at the bar and said, let's make exactly that fucking game in 9 months. I know we can do it. And that's how your average gamer sometimes thinks. They can't understand that sometimes separate bodies of interesting, talented game developers could come to the same conclusion, much like what happens in Hollywood. Back in the day, for those of you old enough to remember, we had, Deep Impact and Armageddon. There's the same thing happened. Same thing happened with all those water movies. Suddenly there's an underwater movie. There's like Leviathan, and then there's the Abyss, and then all these, Deep Star 6. All these underwater movies start coming out.
Titanic.
And, exactly. Well, I mean, it didn't start as an underwater.
It got there.
I love how the internet, being the curmudgeon cunts that they are, decided to take the piece of flotsam that Kate Winslet had, that I'm just going to conveniently reuse the book here.
Yeah, of course.
And she's like laying on it like this, like, oh, there's no room for you, Jack. There's no room, and I'll never let go. Like I'm just going to hang onto the diamond and toss it in the ocean anyway. So this is all for naught. But hey, I got some good dick in a vintage vehicle. I got to put my hand up, whole 9 yards.
Was that her hand or his hand? I always thought it was his hand.
Oh yeah, because you probably need the leverage because he's kind of doing.
I've never
I
thought
don't know
about
who's
whose hand it
he's
is.
shaking at the end of it. That's what I remember. I don't remember.
Yeah, he's probably had Kate Winslet in the back doing the reverse pile driver. This is how the poor people fuck.
Oh my God.
This is how we do it in steerage. This is how we do it in steerage. It's like, wow.
You can't see Billy Zane with his little white gloves on, like he'd
His
be
little
turned
white
off-
gloves.
He'd still have like the tux on and stuff.
There's
like,
there's
turn off
I think
the
it's
lights.
called 1899. It's on Netflix right now. It's a ship show, whatever. Jen's watching it, but it's mystical and like they're in the Bermuda Triangle stuff. And there's one scene of some very like this is an arranged marriage. They're rich. It's very if Titanic if they did get married. And when they fucking, I'm like, no, that's not it, man. So yeah, that's probably how it was. It wasn't good for sure.
So is it one of those shows like you guys sit down together and watch? Because Lauren and I we have like multiple types of shows. There's the shows that we're lucky we have an awesome movie set up and the end of the night, right?
Yeah.
And so there's the shows I'm like, okay, this is Midnight Mass. It's Mike Flanagan. He's a genius. We're gonna watch this. It's gonna be great. And how do we miss the house, the Haunting of Hill House? Oh my God, this is incredible. And then we'll find something good. We're watching Camille's Chippendales miniseries.
How is that?
Can't wait for it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, awesome.
He starts it as a backgammon club, and before you know it, he's got the dudes with the the ties and the little
Fantastic.
It's hilarious and corny and fun. And so then there's the shows that she just watches on her own. Like I'll be doing work, typing up some docs, having some meetings, paying bills and shit. And I hear like from the other room, like she's putting on her makeup for her stream, and I hear the show Below Deck.
Oh
You
yeah.
guys, watch that one.
Bobble
For those of you
baby.
who don't know, they take these like $250 million yachts, and the super duper rich people rent them out to just the ordinarily rich people. And it's all these spoiled, kids, 20 somethings out of like Florida, and they rent the yacht. They're drinking, fucking the whole 9 yards, but it's also getting into the cruise underneath the deck and what they go through in order to host these people and all this madness. And it's just, I'm like, Lauren, I don't know how you're just watching these spoiled assholes. Like, cause that would just drive me crazy. And it's the argument of, oh, there's such train wrecks. It just makes me feel good about my life, which is
Sure.
the MO for reality TV over the last however many years. So I can't handle that shit. I'll watch like a good baking show or something that actually requires some skills, or Hot Ones, because Hot Ones is fucking genius.
Sure, of course. Yeah, no, 1899 is a Jen thing. It's like in a different world, I'd be interested enough in it, but I have my own things to do. I'm usually playing Marvel Snap during it. That's Ben's asleep, so it's time for some games, but I can hang
Dude,
out.
that's totally the way we are. It's like, again, the different tiers of TV. So I love stand-up. I want to try it one day, right? We have open mic in the area, and somehow I become friends with all of these stand-up comedians on social. Like, I think it's because I did Rogan 3 times back in the day, and occasionally I can be kind of funny.
Hey.
Hey. And so towards the end of the night, I want to put on like try new stand-up comedians on like Netflix or YouTube, because we have this great generation like Sam Morril, you got Nikki Glazer, you got Taylor Tomlinson, you got just so many. All of them, dude. Like they used to make male comedians used to make the argument that female comedians can't be funny, and I'm like, yeah, no, have you seen Eliza Schlesinger, Taylor Tomlinson, Nikki Glazer? Like, not only do we have these amazing, smart, brilliant, charismatic, funny comedians, they're also beautiful. So fuck you. But then like Doug Stanhope's one of my favorites, and he came to town for the local improv, and I wound up hanging out with him and Bingo, his wife, in their green room, and we drank all his vodka together, and that was fun. I don't know how he's still going. But yeah, and so I love like, the art of stand-up. I love being on stage. I love, as they say in Hamilton, let's get this guy in front of a crowd. I have no problem.
What's holding you back? Why haven't you gotten into it? Why haven't you jumped in?
Well, karaoke for starters.
Sure, okay.
And it's one of those things, having been a drama nerd in high school, I don't know if my memory is what it used to be. The video game industry taught me how to drink for 20 years. And now I'm actually on the wagon for a little while right now, which is actually, I'd highly recommend somebody doing that, because you sleep better, and it's nice not waking up feeling like shit. And but yeah, that's a whole other story for another time. But the thing is,
I'm coming back to it. Don't worry.
I want to, maybe I'll take up some small roles in some local plays or things like that. But I do want to do open mic. I have some stand-up bits that I want to try. I have a whole bit talking about being in a band that was called Mommy's Butthole that I think could play fairly well. And so I go see random comedians in town, and I pay attention to the techniques. It's like everything. It's a system. Like there's people who just tell stories. Like Bo Burnham is a goddamn genius. Or there's the one-liners like Mitch Hedberg. I saw Wino eating grapes once. I said, dude, you have to wait. Or then George Carlin, who just rant truths the entire time. Life is a series of dogs. Things like that. And Sebastian Maniscalco, he's freaking great. And like the way they kind of overact on stage, and then look at the crowd and the good callbacks. This art of setting up a callback and then mentioning it later, and crowd work also in and of itself is something I absolutely adore. Like you get I'm paying a good $40-$50 to bring the missus to this comedy show at least. Buying a couple drinks, and some idiot who's hammered in like row 3's yelling out some bullshit, interrupting the comedian. I love watching comedians eviscerate people, because you're dealing with a person who 9 times out of 10 is pretty fucking sober on stage. They do it for a living. The person in the crowd's probably had about 3 to 5 cocktails, is probably a fucking idiot, probably wants to be on stage but doesn't have the balls to actually try it. It's the perfect formula for seeing somebody just get completely wrecked in front of a crowd, and it's one of my favorite things. But yeah, that's my thing is later. Video games will always be near and dear to my heart. They help me, eat. They paid for my house and my dogs. They help me find the love of my life. But the problem is when you teach a man to make video games, he won't want to play one again for the rest of his life. Insert whatever pronoun you want there, he, her,
Sure,
them,
sure.
whomever. And it's one of those things. All I see is the dollar signs on stage. I see footage of the new Batman game, Gotham, or is it Arkham Knights or
Gotham Knights.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I look at the footage of the Naughty Dog games coming out, and the new Call of Duty, even with the footage of the Amsterdam level looks nearly photorealistic. And for me, having been the CEO and having seen the Excel spreadsheet where the numbers are counting down, and having been friends with my employees, knowing their spouses, seeing their kids at Halloween coming to my house for a crawfish boil, and to see it tick down, and knowing that I might have to let these people go, which I eventually did have to. And again, for the record, it was a 2 weeks salary and 2 months of healthcare that they got. Some sort of internet rumor spread that I didn't pay people and that I took the salary or something. The studio's open for 4 years. I only took a salary 2 years, motherfuckers. So, you can look that up. Anyway, enough about that. So, I have these ideas that the thing about the ideas that I'm making right now, from the dog thing to the Lawrence Gargoyle thing, is, with my game development experience, and, she has a little bit of experience with game development, but, she worked at id Software. She did QA. She was the build test manager. She'd be hanging out in Carmack would handle her phone with like a version of Doom on iPhone, be like, "Hey, test that. Let me know what you think of the controls." And she didn't even know who Carmack was. She's like, "Okay, this is cool." The thing is, the IPs that I'm creating right now, I'm considering not only what the world is, what the setting is, how it would fit in, but also what kind of things can these characters do that would lead to a game mechanic of, is this a 4-player co-op shooter like Left 4 Dead? Is this just a single-player BioShock style experience? Is this a kind of a Batman Arkham Asylum type experience? Like what is, or is this a one-off like Telltale kind of game experience? And that's the kind of the driving angle we're coming from. Could this be a toy line? Could this be a Netflix animated series? Who's the target demographic? Using everything that I've used, as well as my Rolodex. That was the funny thing about the book, by the way. Here we are again. Nice cover. It's all shiny and shit. It gets embossed. Is the quotes in the back I had to chase down myself. Like Simon and Schuster has been a really, really good publishing partner, but I had to literally lean on my Rolodex to get like Tom Bissell wrote The Disaster Artist about the movie The Room. Jason Schreier, again, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. Brian O'Malley, who did Scott Pilgrim. Dan Weiss, the co-creator of Game of Thrones with Benioff. The final season was but mostly I think the batting average of that show is damn good, and they're friends. And then of course I got a quote from NCIC at the bottom. NCIC's my man.
Oh,
That's all dope as hell.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, what a list of people, man. Congrats.
Thanks, man. That's the story in there. One of them is, I grew up listening to Ice-T's music, loving it. And he was playing my games as I was listening to his music. And then we eventually met years later when we cast him in Gears of War 3. And it was one of those things that, we're at this Microsoft after party. What that steampunk place? Is it the Edison in downtown LA? That's all like used to be a pumping station, I think.
Yeah, and it's got the like exposed light bulbs or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's super cool. It feels like BioShock, right? So they had a party. We reunited body count. And it's one of those things.
No big deal.
Ice rolls up.
No big deal. We reunited body count. No big deal.
I got to be on
Original
stage.
Toxic
Body
shot.
count, motherfuckers! And I'm, hanging out. Ice and Coco roll up to the party, and Ice is just being Ice. Yeah, what's up? It's the Ice T, right? And Coco's there, and she's an absolute sweetheart. She's wearing this like sheer dress, right? Little spaghetti straps, and she's built, right? And Lauren's talking to her, and Lauren's like this big compared to Coco, because Coco, again, she's got huge tracks on that. She's so fucking cool. And Lauren gives her a hug, and she's like, she smells like Sunless Tanner. And then all of a sudden, Coco's little spaghetti strap just goes, boop, falls down. Coco's big old boobie just fucking falls right out. It's like this big, beautiful, brown, fleshy avalanche just coming down the Matterhorn, right? And Lauren's like, and like a bunch of like the Microsoft, test dads are like doing this shit, like, oh shit, it's Coco's titty. And Coco doesn't bat an eyelash. She's looking at the room. She goes, "Happens all the time, sweetheart." Didn't bat an eyelash. And so then the kicker was I hear back from Simon and Schuster. They're like, so excuse me, that story about Coco's outfit malfunction, you need to get legal permission for that. So I email Ice-T's email. I go, yo, Ice, here's the story. Is it okay if I print this? And within like 2 minutes, I get back, absolutely. So I got approval from Ice-T himself for that.
That is the kind of reporting in Control Freak.
Mhm.
That is what you need to know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could sit there and go like, well, here's the difference between RAM and ROM, and here's the cathode ray tube, and this is what input lag is and friction and adhesion, and here's what spawning means, and like all the, here's binary space partitioning and spherical harmonics and lag and full stack programmers. Like, your average person reads that, they're not going to need an Ambien to go to sleep. They want my voice on the page, which is sometimes dumb, sometimes smart, but usually always loud, and at least I'm consistent. And I think it's a pretty easy, even though we're going into winter here, it's a pretty easy kind of beach read. And I think the audiobook turned out great. I can't remember his name right now. He begins with a K. He's a very, very talented guy. Did a tremendous job. And it was so weird to hear your life story through somebody else's voice.
I was gonna wonder. Yeah, I was wondering. I hadn't heard about the audio one, so you didn't do it. You had somebody else come in and actually do it.
Well, first off, it's on Audible. B, it would have required a tremendous time sink,
Sure.
and I'm in the mode of just interviews for the book and working on the new properties. Checking on the restaurants. Wink, wink. Karaoke. And with the holidays, all the travel, and this guy, this is what he does, right? And my thing is, this book is so deep and personal to me, and I'm the emotional one in the relationship. If we're watching something compelling, and I find that the story to be interesting, I'm the one who gets misty-eyed. Lauren's over there like, whatever. I just caught Charizard. I'm like, okay. But that's the thing, is that's the way relationships usually work. I'm the one on stage doing karaoke. She's the one just sitting in the back playing Pokemon Go on 2 phones like this, right? And so I don't know where I'm going with this. I lost my train of thought. But the thing is, I couldn't do the audiobook because there's like 4 or 5 parts in the book where I get verklempt. I get emotional because it's literally reliving the best and worst parts of my entire life from the age of 6. And that's why, writing it was, I mentioned in the book, it's the equivalent of fighting Dark Link, in so many games, action RPGs in particular, or RPGs in general, you fight yourself, you're fighting Dark Link. And that's what it felt like for the duration. It literally took 4 years from start to finish to write. I had too many characters. I was way too explicit with my personal life in it. If you thought it was personal now, like you should have seen the early drafts. Ooh.
Yeah.
I could go on forever because I want to know how much you had to cut, whatever. But what I want to do before we let you get out of here is I have a question from the audience. Of course, people can write in kindafunny.com/KF podcast. Madeline, aka Mad Exposure, wrote in and said, "Hi, Cliff. I hope you're having a great day. As a fan of video games and musicals myself, would love to know more about your path from video game dev to producer of Hadestown. How did that come about, and have you always been a fan of musicals?"
I became a fan of musicals when my father died when I was 15 years old, and my mother had the OG Phantom of the Opera on repeat. It really spoke to me at the time, and I kind of liked it before that, but this was kind of like the gateway drug, for lack of a better term. I actually hate that term, because I like my weed, and it's not a gateway drug. Anyway,
now people are doing weed left and right.
Oh, dude, I walk into like California, and I just walk into like, it's like an Apple store. I'm like, oh, I want indica, just give me all of it. I just walk up. But the thing was, there's this musical you may be familiar with. What was the person's name again?
Madeline.
Madeline. Dear Evan Hansen, which won the best Tony a few years ago, which that show just destroys me. And the thing is there's a line, when you're falling in a forest, and do you ever make a sound? Will I ever make a sound? And you will be found, right? That whole theme of it, when you're depressed and it feels like there's no one there for you. And so the guy who played Connor Murphy for a while on Broadway, named Alex Boinello, Connor Murphy's the character who kills himself in Evan Hansen. It's this whole lie that goes out of control. He was a fan of my video game work, and he slid into my DMs, and he said, "Hey, we're working on some new productions. There's one that might be of interest in you. If you want to come on board and invest and be a co-producer of it." And I'm like, "Well, what is it?" Sends me the early recording cast of Hadestown. Tells me about how it's this kind of jazzy, folksy retelling of the ancient myth by way of this New Orleans kind of vibe. They fall and have a second line parade with parasols in the middle of it and everything. And I was like, "You son of a bitch, I'm in." And so then, I invested, it hit the news, made Variety and everything like that. And next thing I know, I'm at Radio City Music Hall. We're all dressed up watching it win 8 Tonys. And after my studio crumbled and I lost my Australian Shepherd. Yeah, fun fact, after I put my studio down, I had to put my dog of 13 years down. Hope that makes for a good YouTube video there, kids. Enjoy the Schadenfreude.
The hits keep coming.
Oh yeah, but that was the one thing that for me, like it was Alex reaching out, and then to know that not only could I have this much needed win, but maybe there was more to explore with not just video games, but with other businesses, and learning how Broadway works, how Broadway shows are capitalized, what they had to hang on to in order to make sure that shows would survive the pandemic, because not all of them did. Broadway's still struggling to get back on its feet with, your average, Midwestern family traveling to New York. It's kind of like the average Midwestern family traveling to Disney World. Like, this is a 2 or 3 year planned mecca that they take. Your average person doesn't get to go up, 2 or 3 times a year to these kinds of places and events. And so, there's more actually on the way. I actually recently invested in the German production of Moulin Rouge.
Oh, wow.
And
Cool.
also invested in these aren't producing credits. This is just me. Okay, this seems cool. I'll put a little bit of money into it. But this musical called K-pop, and it's literally the story of these K-pop musicians and how they have a little bit of middling success, but how they all eventually rise to the top of the K-pop pile. And I hear that K-pop thing's kind of big with the kids.
They do love that. The K-pop
do.
is big right now.
True.
But musicals are near and dear to me. I love seeing them live. I love, so many good ones. I just love the feeling of going to a show and live entertainment. You can't beat that. It's one of my most favorite things in the world.
Oh, awesome. Cliff, the book is Control Freak. It is out right now. Thank you for, look at Kevin with the Zoom. Good job, Kev. Thank you so much for coming through today to talk to us about it.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of work, and let's do this more often. My people will call your people. We'll grab lunch.
The people's just Tim. All right. Bye, Cliff. Enjoy karaoke tonight.
Thanks, man. I gotta warm up my voice.
There it is. Get
Good
up
luck.
high. All right.
Good to see you guys.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
Take care.
Hello, audience. It's me, Greg. So what we're going to do is insert that into the podcast. So now we're going to record the first part with me and Tim. Then there'll be that, and then we'll do an outro bit. Kevin, you keeping up with the jams as we go?
I get it.
Thanks, brother. All right.
I'm going to run to the bathroom for 1 second. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll talk to them.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Chad, how you doing? It's me, Greg. How are you? Cody says, hi, Greg. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Cody. How you doing? Hanging out? Watching the show? Having fun? Alex J. Sandoval, hi, Greg. Hey, Alex, how are you? Mr. Enuiz 07, hi, G, how is that? Cliff is always just a freight train of thought. So you get the question in, and then he's off to the races, having fun doing his thing. You're like, okay, well, I'll get back to you on that one. Jake says, how did you get so cool? I was a nerd for a long time. That's how to do. Anthony, how does it feel to be back? I have a lot of pent-up energy, and I'm happy to expend it. You know what I mean? What it do, says the Lou. What it do, Lou? Reminded me, piano, fish tank, reminded me of I think it was Adi. Adi Shankar interview. Adi is the same way. Give him something, he will run with it. Mr. Hawk says, Greg, who are you wrestling at WrestleMania next year? I'll never tell. Don't worry about that. Melissa says, can you answer my question I sent about Santa?
Wait, Greg, real quick.
Yeah.
WWE says, hey, Greg, we want you to wrestle.
Yeah.
You in? You doing this?
Oh, of
You
course,
wrestling?
anybody. Yeah,
Oh
whoever
my
they need me
God.
to.
That's exciting.
When Stephanie McMahon calls, I answer. Don't worry about that. Answer question. I think this did make this sheet at one point. I opened up the giant question thing, but I'm going to go to Control F. Santa. No, it didn't. It made it some. Hold on, because I know it's like, what?
What's the Santa question?
It's something like, hey, these Santa movies. Yeah, hold on, I got it. I remember this one.
Oh, that reminds me.
Melissa Hagler writes into KindaFunny.com/KF podcast, just like you can. It says, hello, KF. I was scrolling across TikTok and came across a video of a guy talking about a very important topic we need to discuss. Every Christmas movie has one huge plot hole. Take the Santa Claus, for example. In their universe, the adults all agree on one thing. Santa isn't real. But in that universe, he is real, right? So there's the problem. How do the adults not wonder where the gifts came from? Little Timmy gets a new bike, but mom and dad didn't buy it. How are they not freaking out?
I think this is explained in the Santa Claus.
This makes no sense, and I need answers. Cheers, Melissa Hagler. I adored the Santa Claus growing up.
Sure.
Kevin.
Have you seen the show?
No, I haven't seen the show.
The Santa Clauses?
No, I haven't
Disney
seen
Plus.
it. Okay. Anyways, adored the Santa Claus growing up. I don't remember it being answered in the movie.
I thought it was implied that like there's like a magic haze that just kind of makes them be like, oh, we bought that.
I don't remember that. I remember that from all.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, hold on, Tim. Go
Never
ahead.
saw number 3, Jack Frost with Martin
Yeah, no, I aged out of it by
Short.
that point.
Yeah.
Martin Short, yeah, I'd aged out of it.
Short.
About that life either.
Do they explain that then?
I never watched it, that one.
No, I was asking Tim.
Tim never
No, I
watched
said I
it.
never watched. It came out when I was in high school.
Yeah,
That was cool.
I don't think
Super
I
late.
ever watched it
Too old
either.
for it.
Yeah. Santa Claus 2, I was definitely in.
Somebody in chat says, no, that's not a thing.
I feel like it's just a lot of handling off of just like, oh, I didn't buy this, so clearly my partner did. Now, if you're a single parent, what does that mean? I don't know. Maybe Santa doesn't give you stuff. Maybe you think the landlord did.
There was some implication of people like it gets cloudy in their memories and they kind of forget. With something else that happens, it doesn't matter.
Santa Claus in review, Tim. When?
There's a TV show, Tim. Do you know this? Disney Plus did the Santa Clauses.
It just came out.
Yeah.
Like it's out there. It's not like Sister Act 3 where it's like they talked about it, it
Hey,
didn't happen.
Hey, someday.
Someday, everybody. Someday.
Kevin, you've been rolling on all of this and recording this, right?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm not
I
gonna
mean, this could
cut.
just be the outro.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Cool.
care if we explained to the chat, we explained to we ended the thing and then said to the audience, hey, this is how it's going to go. But there's no reason the real live audience
okay.
could do
I
that.
see what you're saying.
We had this whole Santa conversation.
Yeah, I missed most of it, but
You
I'm
wanna
sure
hear
it
it?
was. Well, no, I'm sure.
Melissa, I already closed it off on Control F, Control T. It was basically in all these Santa movies,
Yeah.
right, where the adults agree Santa isn't real, but Santa is real.
Oh, okay.
So how are they explaining these gifts that show up from Santa that aren't from the parents?
I say
Big?
there's a,
No,
yeah.
I'm lost.
I'm sa-
But aren't there only presents from? But okay, you're saying in this world Santa is real, so there are presents showing up that they didn't bring, and they
So
don't have
think
an
of
explanation.
Melissa is asking you to think of the movie like Santa Claus, right?
Uh-huh.
And just like, hey, I'll just read the guy question. Every Christmas movie has one huge plot hole. Take the Santa Claus, for example. In their universe, the adults all agree on one thing. Santa isn't real. But in that universe, he is real, right? So there's the problem. How do the adults not wonder where the gifts came from? Little Timmy gets a new bike, but mom and dad didn't buy it. So how are they not freaking out that somebody got in their house and left a bike? I had to ad-lib that part. It ran off the thing. Follow?
Okay, I do follow. Yeah, I don't remember the movie enough to remember if there was other presents. So if that is the case, then yeah.
I mean, Santa's giving gifts. He's leaving stuff under the tree.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's where it gets rough.
I'm pretty sure it's Magic Haze. They're like, oh yeah, of course we bought Timmy that.
See,
that bicycle.
you're saying the magic haze, and I know what you mean.
Mhm.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because they do. I remember Judge Reinhold when he gets the
Yeah.
weenie whistle.
Right.
Like there is a whole thing of like, oh, like but it's not so much about like he gets a weenie whistle. That's what he always wanted at the end. He gets it.
In the Santa Claus?
Yeah. remember
the
in
Bro,
the
I
mom
do
always
not remember
wanted
this at
Dream
all.
Date, the board game Dream Date.
Maybe we
I
need to do a
remember
review.
the fucking Santa Claus.
You do the
everybody.
plot right now. We can just do Santa Claus in review right here, right now.
God, that's interesting. See, the problem I would struggle with right off the bat is the actual opening.
Dude, this is a great idea. I don't know for what. Maybe not the Santa Claus, but choosing a movie and having, like, doing an in-review without us watching the
I gotta
movie.
do it, I gotta do it, all right?
You know what I mean?
If I gotta do it, I gotta do it.
Greg Miller just fucking started. Now, here's the plot of this movie.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So just to be clear,
the Santa Claus.
Here we
Yes,
go.
Kevin?
this is going to be added to the outro after the.
Kevin, there are no rules in this episode of the Kind of Funny podcast. I know at the beginning I need to go and intro the show and give producers. Then I need to give an ad thing. Then we got to put the Cliff interview in. Then we put the outro in. But if Santa Claus in review kicks off right now, I just said all that. I just said all that. You know what? Fuck it. All right? Here's what it is, everybody. We're going to go back in time right now and open the show with this energy in Santa Claus in review.
This is the opening?
And we're going to come back and tell you about it. But until next time, remember, this has been the Kind of Funny podcast. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 2, best friends gather on this table. I'm on fire! Just let me go! Kevin, all right, here's what I need you to do. You need to go back in time and edit in what I just did. This table to come to you and bullshit about whatever it is they want to bullshit about. Today they want to bullshit about, today they already bullshitted about Santa Claus in review without ever seeing Santa Claus in review. All right? So now they're going to go back in time and record that. If you like that, you could have watched this entire thing unfold in real time on patreon.com/kindafunny, just like Anthony is, Jake is, Alex is, and Helmy are. So that's what you could have watched on patreon.com/kindafunny. Of course, there you could have gotten 38 exclusive episodes of content a month. You can't get them anywhere else. If you got no mucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. YouTube.com/KindaFunny.
He's getting
Podcast
limber
services
for the past,
around
everybody.
the globe. You can get the show and see it later. You wouldn't see it live. You wouldn't see what's going on.
But until next time.
Here's the one question I have for you. Just set up, or should this be the intro? This will be the intro.
Let's make it the intro. Everybody, this is the outro. We're about to do the intro.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you. So do we want Kevin to run the Kevin run the thing?
Run the thing.
The intro.
I don't know. Oh God.
Can you not do it? Nobody.